May I request our first presenter, Dr. S. Maya, to unmute herself and go ahead with the presentation. Ma'am, I'll be sharing the PPT for you.
Okay, thank you. Am I audible? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Just a second, ma'am. I'm just sharing your.
Yeah. By the time I will start, I think, because there is not much time.
Ma'am, you have 8 to 10 minutes. And
Yeah,
for all
that's why I'll
presentations, we
start
have
before
8 to
you.
10 minutes, and we'll have discussions in the end.
Yeah. It's a short time. I don't know whether I can make it in such a short time. Anyhow, I'll try to make it. The title of the paper is The Concept of Care Work and Issues Around Nursing Profession. Actually, the first part, in the first two parts, actually, I am trying to make a conceptual analysis about care. What do we think about this term called care? We are using it in everyday life, but whether it is, generally it is like a value-oriented service. We are conceiving it as a value-oriented service done by women, particularly in connection with their femininity, to say so. And whether we are, then later we have started conceiving it as a work through the feminist discussions, feminist theorization. So care, we can see actually it is, when we dissect the idea of care, the concept of care, we have to see that it's a kind of mental act actually that every human should do to the other human. But at the same time, we can see that it is a kind of extension of this concept, mental act, that we are expecting from people like nurses or any woman who will be in the domestic arena or in everywhere as part of the femininity. So this is the concept what I am trying to problematize. I don't have enough time to detail it, I think. What makes us to think that it is part of love that women are doing this kind of care and so on and so forth is a debatable topic, I would say. But the concept of service and the concepts of profession in the field of care work, when we start talking about care as a work, becomes blurring. When we do this critical thinking, it becomes blurring when we discuss the exploitation that women are suffering in our society as family women, or just like any in any professional institutions, maybe especially in the area of nursing. I am trying to discuss this. This is a part of my one invited lecture during the nursing day. I got interested into analyzing this more, so that's why I made this paper like this. So care and femininity, this is one thing that feminists actually have been very hesitant to discuss this, femininity and care. The concept of care itself has been very much rare in the discussion in the feminist discussion. So though the nursing scholars have never been discussing care as a issue, they always had been discussing care as something that they have to be giving to the patients and sick, and in general for in terms of women's work, we will say care is something that is to be given to everybody in the houses and all around. So the options, the opinions by scholars actually, that feminist theories have contributed to, there are some opinions that feminist theories have contributed to nursing concept, but at the same time feminists themselves have not really been debating it very much because of the issue of this conceptualization around virtues and values, etc. We can see that from the time of Simone de Beauvoir, this philosophizing femininity, she has actually described in length, in detailed manner at length, this about the femininity and the issue of care being attached together. So there are other references that we can see about the ethics of care, which is brought in by Carol Gilligan mainly Even before that, there was this issue of femininity we discussed during the time of Betty Friedan, Feminine Mystique kind of books. But Carol Gilligan was trying to talk about it in her book in a different voice, that there should be an ethics of care under the feminist discussion. But she was also, like other earlier pre-feminist thinkers like Mary Wollstonecraft and all others, taking it, accepting the concept of motherhood, in which this concept of care is involved. In that way, it was really accepted also. But at the same time, there should be some questions like what ought to be done in terms of care, and where, when, etc. kind of questions. That is what maybe we can discuss under ethics of care. And but Susan Okin, another philosopher, another thinker, feminist thinker, would exactly bring it into the arena of family, and she would actually criticize Carol Gilligan and talk about this family as a political institution and the issue of justice that women are being denied. So these are different references which could be connected with the conceptualization of nursing to talk about the issues that they are facing in the workplace. Like we have had this discussion about unorganized sector. Even in our plenary here, this nursing was not mentioned actually. So generally, this paper I would want to point out this issue that feminists are still hesitant to discuss and intervene into the issues of nurses because of the conceptual issues connected to care. Whether feminists should accept the kind of, there are different theoretical discussions about the ontological and deontological aspects of ethics in connection with care, that they are trying to take up Habermasian position where there is a kind of deontology, that there is nothing that exists as such as part of femininity called care, something called care. These kinds of discussions are going on. Then one interesting thing we can see from Saila Ben Habib, a Turkish philosopher, would say that we have to actually take the combining of impartial justice and contextualized care. So connecting with the Susan Okin's justice and care discussion. Justice, care and family, that's her work actually. So when we connect these issues of feminine and femininity and care, a very interesting work actually we can see from Kanchana Mahadevan, her discussion about the tension between, book on tension between feminism and femininity in the post-colonial and post-colonial era. This is a very good reference to discuss this hesitance that women feminists had to take up the issue of care, and also then to intervene into the realms like nursing as a women's issue, because women are more there in majority, nurses are women. So there is a difficulty to make this mix of justice and care and talk about the issues around, particularly about nursing, etc. So this tension actually we have to notice in a way to discuss the nursing issue also. When they are really conceived as caretakers for the patients, this is a little bit confusing to discuss their rights, that it will come really connected to the value virtue issues. So even when the nursing profession came up and the care women as care providers in the domestic arena came into the social realm to as professionals, they were never considered as professionals. They were considered as actually still caregivers. So this job status also didn't give them enough status as an employed person or something like that. And also their integrity as a woman is also not very well attained, even after getting this kind of a professionalized nursing in the society, which came in the colonial era. And due to the introduction of clinics and the missionary work, so started the nursing as a training and etc. So historical aspects, I'm not going into the details of that aspect.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am.
Yes.
Kindly request you to wind up as we are running short of time.
Yes. So what I'm trying to say is that the concept of care should be critically analyzed with a feminist perspective, which may be actually good for addressing the issues of nurses. So I'm trying to take up the examples from the Kerala society. In last decade, we can see there are many protests going on. There were protests from 2011, 2012. Actually, in Thrissur, there was this protest from nurses who worked in at this mother hospital, and which didn't really get enough responses. But at the same time, the women who were suspended were taken back. In 2017, we can see recently it is in discussion in the Kerala society that the women, not only women, by the time men are also there in the profession as nurses, so they have got a minimum wage fixed like rupees 20,000, that kind of an order from the government. So the issue is not only just about the wages in terms of women are concerned, women nurses are concerned. There are various issues like sexual exploitation and improper timing of duty, etc. So these all are addressed, and even women committing suicide. In 2011, it started actually in Mumbai hospital. One girl from Kerala, Beena Baby, she was committing suicide because of her issues with the hospital authorities. So these all issues came up in the last decade. So it is very important to look at this issue as a woman. As a women's issue, actually. So I would conclude with this suggestion, this demand actually, that women's studies, people from women's studies and feminist groups should really consciously take up this issue as women's issue, and to make some solution for the pathetic situations of women working as nurses, who are just conceived only as caretakers and subordinates to doctors and other authorities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Participants, this is again an announcement. We are so sorry